Before we begin this episode, we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we record today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to elders past and present and emerging. This always was and will always be Aboriginal land. Good afternoon.
Good morning. No, afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Episode 2 of season 2.
2026.
2026.
Mm-hmm. What's your, do you have any resolutions that you went into this year with?
This year? Yes, actually. Quite detailed ones.
Can you share them?
We don't have time.
Give us one.
One is that I've worked out exactly, it's on my phone. I've worked out the number of it sounds really dumb, the number of really high quality work hours I want to do this year. My time for work is limited. No, but the work, it's high quality. That's the thing, high quality hours.
Is this a formula?
No, I just want to remind myself to not stand at home at my desk on my own when I'm working from home and just dawdle and procrastinate.
High quality work hours.
So my goal this year is even if in a day I only do 2 hours of work, but they're really high quality, that's my goal.
Good.
So
Great.
I'm trying to lift the quality of the hours
I
of work.
apologise for snoring.
No, it's pretty boring.
Yeah.
There's 3 more, but they're more boring. So let's leave them.
That was the best one that you had too.
That was the best one of all of them.
Fantastic.
What about you? Any resolutions? Aside from growing your locks?
Yeah, growing my hair.
Yep. You've ticked that off. So
it's going to keep going. It's going to get longer, I think. Just a little bit longer.
Okay.
I think I want the ability to tie it up if I so choose to do that.
Have you tried it? Surely you've got some
It's not that
Florence
long
or Alfie hair.
It's not long enough yet.
It's not?
No, not yet. Not yet.
I think you could do an absolutely adorable little one.
Top bun?
Yep.
Okay, next episode.
Okay.
We film.
Got to be a spare hairband here
Whether
somewhere.
it's ready or not.
Hairs up.
Hairs up.
Okay. I'm pretty good at braids.
There's an exclusive for the YouTube viewers.
To see your hair up.
No, I think balance is a big one. So, big couple of years with the business and all that goes in with kind of selling, integrating, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, everyone probably feels something along those lines, like finding better balance. But that's a big focus this year.
So just a quick tangent, but relevant. There is a whole world in psychology where we call it, if you're going to stick to labels and use the DSM, blah, blah, some people do, some people don't. There is a whole thing of adjustment conditions, adjustment disorder, etc., which is where people are going through some kind of transition, some kind of change, and they're adjusting to it. And if people are having a really hard time, they might go and see a psychologist to help them move through it, a phase of grief or loss or just a completely different, lifestyle change. But I often think about it because we all go through multiple transitions and adjustments in life, whether it's having kids or not having kids when you thought you might have kids, whatever it is, change of job, selling a business, etc. We all go through these adjustments. I've got some really interesting adjustments in my life this year on the home front and the work front. And we tend to underestimate the impact on our nervous system, our
I'd agree with
identity.
that, for sure. Yeah.
So I'm not surprised at all that and what I notice in my practice is that people go through the transition adjustment. They've got to keep running, adrenaline, cortisol, keep going. And then they hit a point where they kind of look back and go, holy shit, that's been a massive adjustment. Yeah. And there's often this little kind of tail end where it all kind of implodes for a bit and then they kind of come up and out.
Yeah, I feel like that's my journey for the last 12 to 18 months.
There you go.
Let's start another podcast and talk about that.
Let's do that. Another whole podcast, another whole episode. Yes, I really respect those phases. If in my clinical work, a lot of my work is around just adjustments, transition phases.
I do wish someone said to me, so here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Although I probably still wouldn't have listened. It's only once you go through it that you realise and you look back and you go,
True.
That's a big change.
Other tangent. Did you know there's 3 ways that humans learn?
I didn't. Tell me.
One is they're told the thing, like Raj, here's what's going to happen.
Yep.
Kids, they're told beliefs and values.
If
they
you
just
jump off
inherit
that
it.
table, you'll hurt yourself.
So you're told it.
Yep.
The second way is that you think critically about it. So you might go, oh yeah, if I jump off this table, it'll probably hurt. I saw this one, something.
Seems pretty high. You assess what's in front of you.
So you do your own analysis. And the third is that you experience it. And that is the most powerful way of learning. But sometimes we don't want people to experience jumping off a table and breaking their head open. So there's that absolute insight in you saying I had to experience it.
Good tidbit.
Yeah, great start. Acknowledgement to country.
Yes.
I'd love to throw to you for today's acknowledgement to country because we had 2 absolutely stunning pieces of artwork commissioned when we're working together in the previous business, led by some phenomenal people in our business that took it on as a
shout out
project.
to Darshna Patel, who kind of drove that initiative.
Yeah.
So what Mel's referring to is we had some artwork commissioned by an Indigenous artist to hang up in our new Melbourne office in Collins Street when we moved in there, and we wanted something that represented us and our values, and we wanted the artwork to also live both in Melbourne and in Sydney. So there are pieces of art that now hang up actually in the Accenture offices in both Melbourne and Sydney that represent the cultural values that the Lumery was kind of built upon and evolved with. And it's a very, very beautiful piece of art. I'm not sure if most people know what that is as they walk past it every single day. But still
striking.
Still hangs, lives and breathes. So good acknowledgement.
Well done to Darshna and the rest of the group in the Power to the People group.
Power to the People.
Power to the People. We might talk about them today. To have the idea and then follow it up and for it to be such an authentic process as well.
Yeah.
So in today's episode, we are going to talk about, as a continuation from our first episode, this whole how did we do it, how did you build it.
How to org dev.
How to actually do it. Once you start to understand it, how do we actually use it as a way to execute our strategy? What does it all mean? So in today's episode, we're going to focus on the first couple of years of the business. This is before my time in those horrible days. Just cold, dark days of...
Don't remind me.
Don't even know how anyone survived. Back in those peaceful days, first couple of years of the business, I'd love me to ask you a bunch of questions about how did this all begin? You said on our previous episode, for example, that you knew that you wanted a diverse set of folks in the business. And I'm like, well, how did you know that? So I want to know kind of where it all began, because I came in around the third year of the business. But I had
Did you start pre-COVID or during COVID? Like
No, I was still consulting for you as a complete outsider during the whole of COVID.
Yeah.
And then I came on board just after.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
But I had an amazing predecessor in Electra who was working for Steeple, the organisational psychology consultancy we were both at. She worked with you first. I came in after. So tell me about the early days.
And so maybe to just bring our listeners, all of the above, to bring us back to kind of the structure that we're going to leverage throughout this season. So there's 4 categories of org dev. And so we're going to try and pull everything we're talking about back to those 4 categories of structure, systems and processes, capability, network and relationships. But the way that we're going to talk about, I guess, tactics and things that work and things that don't work is through the journey of the business that we built, that you were a part of, that we all built collectively in the Lumery. And that journey probably falls in, I'd say 3 or 4 parts. And I'm thinking about this as I say it. So what we're going to talk about today, kind of early phase, right? Phase 1. Maybe years 1 to 2-ish, 1 to 3. It's probably a COVID period, right? Lockdowns and so forth, because I think we did a lot, learned a lot, evolved a lot through that period, as I'm sure many other organizations did. So there's lots to learn and pluck out from there. Then there's, I think, a coming out of that period and hitting a pretty large kind of growth path. And then there's probably that last period of as we sold the business, integrate the business. I think there's some kind of interesting insight we can pull from there.
Absolutely. Tell our audience, why have we decided to structure this season along that kind of sort of chronological flow rather than, mapping it to a high-performing team's framework or mapping it exactly? Like, why aren't we going, in today's episode, it's all about structure and the next episode's all about network and relationships? Why have we decided to do it
like this?
Well,
I think the truth is that
here we go.
if I think back, we didn't use a framework and then methodically move our way through that framework. I mean, that'd be nice and ideal. It
also wouldn't have worked though.
Yeah, and I pause as I say this because I'm like, would it have worked? If we know what we know now, went back and said, okay, here's, but we wouldn't have known. the plan would have changed. We would have evolved. I would have read a book. You would have seen something. Someone else would have said something. There's so many different inputs into the system, as we spoke about in the first episode, right?
Yeah.
This is a system and it has lots of things and parts and things that evolve, but then it's an open system.
Yep.
So there's external forces that go on here as well.
Yeah.
COVID is a great example of that.
Yeah.
So our journey isn't one that is beautifully linear, completely structured. We ticked off this roadmap step by step by step.
Yep.
We had needs, wants, desires, vision, strategy, outcomes, and then we deployed a whole bunch of stuff through it. And I think as we look back at the journey, we can plot it against categories and frameworks, but it's not necessarily how we experienced it or executed the strategy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are individuals in the business who changed how we did things or asked the right question at the right time that led to a big decision being made or not made.
Yep.
So, this fact that there is so many variables and interconnected parts, I think this whole discussion of frameworks and the order of things, the sequencing of things is really, really interesting because sometimes it is very tempting to say, we'll bring in this framework and we will create everything around it and we will map to it.
You have to buy into the journey. I mean, I've said this to you before, right? I'm like, hey, you should consult with a view that you will enter a business, increase their bottom line over the next 5 years. And that's it. And then the how is like, well, we've got a bag of stuff.
Yeah.
You have a bag of stuff.
Yeah.
That over the course of this journey, we'll deploy, we'll tinker, we'll learn, we'll do things.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there's a goal at the end.
So this is a beautiful metaphor conceptualization of you and me, actually, because you have got such a great strategic brain, commercial mindset. You see so much further into the future than what I can. And I'm a pretty big picture thinker as well, but you are way further than me. You're up that end where things are also, there's a lot that can be measured in your world, right? And there's a lot of clients who want and expect that kind of measurement. In my world, if I put my psychologist hat on for a second, as opposed to my consulting business psychologist hat, if I put on my pure psychologist hat for a second, we cannot guarantee anything.
Totally.
It's impossible, but it's also against the rules of our registration. So if any psych ever says, do this course and it will minimize your phobia or it will do X, Y, and Z.
Can't do it.
Cannot do it. So I also have come into the business and came into the work with you with this sort of sense of we're going to try a bunch of stuff and there's a whole lot of evidence for a bunch of stuff. But
it may not work.
It may not work. And I absolutely cannot stick a number on it that this work will translate to that outcome. But that, and you've and I've had a fantastic series of discussions for a long time around this, where you're like, but how do you come into a business and like not prove yourself, but like prove that you're worth it? It's really hard because we actually can't, because there's so many different interrelated parts. It makes this work can be really, really tricky.
Yeah, and maybe it's the loosening of that is not you guarantee this outcome, but ultimately that is the outcome we are gunning for.
Yeah.
And if you buy into that, you buy into that journey that's going to take many, many years.
Yeah.
It's not something you can do through a leadership session.
Yep.
Okay, we might get there, we might not get there, but we, you believe enough in this being a key strategy to get there.
Was it you who told me, or I told you, or one of us heard it?
I probably told you.
You probably told me. That sounds
probably not. Well, you told me, and then I told you.
Just because your hair is longer doesn't mean you're wiser instantly. I think it was actually you that told me this, that we should never judge the quality of our decision making by the actual outcome, but we should judge the quality of our decision making by like the process we went on.
Yeah.
If it was a solid process, we had all the right inputs, all the right people in the room. If it still doesn't quite work out, we can't judge it on the actual outcome at the end.
So you might make a wrong decision.
Yeah.
That's okay, right?
Yeah, but if you can kind of defend the way you got there.
Yeah.
So for me, that was kind of the approach in the business was like, I know all these things should lead us down here and we're doing all these things well and right and ethically and blah, blah. We still stuff, things up, but we kind of on that right journey, we can't control the end result. So that's where I do think it's tricky that you can't. And you took an absolutely commendable leap of faith having me in the business. And
Bit of a punt.
An absolute punt.
Yeah.
I was saying this to someone the other day. It's like you never should trust a consultant that's like, just trust me.
Yeah.
But nothing feels more right in this instance where it's like, I'm not going to know until I get in there and we start to pull things and move things, but just kind of trust me that I can kind of see how this is meant to. So, total tangent. Let's come back to why we've decided to not do the rest of this season by framework or by topic or by whatever, but to do it on the journey. Is there any other reasons why we've decided to do this as the narrative of the business?
I think so. Our experience, one, two, everyone's journey is probably a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So your starting point might not be our starting point.
Yeah,
that's okay. There are different ways you can go about this.
Yep.
I think what would be cool at the end of this season, we could probably build or pull together the framework with all the tactics and all the things that we did, and we have it now, right? We've created it, and we should share that with all of our listeners.
Yeah.
But you don't get there unless you go through the journey, I think, and the journey can start and maneuver in a whole bunch of different ways based on the business or based on the leadership. So,
random question. We often hear this phrase, take people on the journey, right? And I was just thinking what you said then, if we'd presented, because we've got this fantastically detailed Miro board now somewhere of the Patrick Lencioni model, and we've put on each of the 5 things for a high-performing team exactly the tactics we used for each of them. There's like 80 things on there. But if we'd rolled that across the table to people when they first started or when we first wanted to do it, it's just too much. And they're just like, what's this? So we often hear this phrase of exceptional leaders take people on the journey. What does that mean? Before I will answer that question or provide a view. We've mentioned Patrick Lencioni a few times, I think, through the podcast and other podcasts. Yeah. Just quickly give everyone, who is Lencioni? Yep. And the model that we often refer to. Yeah. And why it's so important. Yep. So he's got this old model of dysfunctional teams. Been around for a long time, right? Long time. Yeah. And he's still around, still consulting, still speaking. As you know, with me, I'm quite attached to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If there are some really good models that are still standing up, let's use it. And case in point, we didn't look at the Lencioni model till a few years into our journey and said, that makes pretty good sense. We should make sure we kind of align to this. Prior to that, we were just doing stuff. Yeah. And if you look at all sorts of different high-performing teams models, they've got a lot of similar elements, right? So I like his, it's quite simple. So his model looks at the 5 dysfunctions of a team, and so then you can look at the inverse of, what's the opposite look like. And great model. So we'll put a link in somewhere. Yep. Yep. Shout out to episode 4 is when we talked about the Lencioni model. Okay, so back to your question. Oh, yeah. What does it mean to, because I think you are a leader that does a really good job of taking people on a journey. I think it takes a lot of time. If you were coaching someone who was not very good at taking people on the journey, what would you be doing with them? And we're going to talk about HBDI, which is a tactic around how to communicate. And I've found it to be, there's probably like a handful of really powerful things that I've leveraged across my career and things that stand the test of time. Yeah. Challenger sales methodology. Yep. Cynics start with why. There's like a few things that I'm like, I'll always come back to those things. Yep. HBDI is one of them. Yep. And communicating or respecting that people need, when we say take people on a journey, i.e. communicate a vision and a strategy and a plan, people need that delivered in very different ways based on their comms preferences. Yep. And so, setting a vision, a broad brush, here's what the future could look like, is very different to someone who is sitting there shit scared about what tomorrow looks like. And it's very different to someone who is completely focused on what are the steps that we are going to take to get us there. And it's a little bit different to the person who's going, hey, give me the top level logical facts on the 5 things I need to worry about to hit that vision. So immediately you start to think about what we often refer to as walking the circle. Yeah.
And so I think taking people on a journey, one respects that this is really about communication.
Yeah.
And that communication has to be delivered in very different ways based on who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Which requires a lot of work
Yep.
and a lot of thought. And just respect that not everyone's going to kind of be fascinated by the whiteboard drawing I just drew.
Yeah.
Because in my head it makes total sense.
Yep.
But it doesn't make sense for everyone else. Maybe for 5 people in the room it will.
Yeah.
So I think communication is a big part of it. This idea of trust, of like, trust me, come on the journey.
Yeah.
I think trust is built and is given with a track record of being being able to deliver. And there's lots of work in just how do you build trust, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't think you can just say, just trust me, come on this journey. I think there needs to be a series of evidence that people can link to and point to and say, okay, that person has delivered enough, done enough, been transparent enough, been dependable enough, is credible enough.
Got the evidence.
They have my trust.
Yeah.
And so I'm willing to take this leap of faith, even if I don't know exactly how this is going to look like, but I'm willing to go on this journey with them.
It's I reckon we save this for another topic, and I want to really think about this
Yeah,
because when someone is exceptional at taking people on the journey, you know it and you feel it and you're a part of it. Like we know it when it's happening, but we can't necessarily always articulate it. So I want to dive into and really think about that, because on the flip side, when someone is not skilled at taking people on the journey, we know it as well.
Yeah, and we should probably like even what you think, because when I think about how do you take people on the journey, it's like, I don't know, how do you take people on a journey? Okay, yeah, you communicate, you do this, but you just I don't know.
Do it. Yeah. So some people naturally. So yeah, let's save this for another topic, because I think it's such an important one. And then, you can fold into all sorts of stuff around change management and blah, blah, into that as well. But I think it's a really interesting topic around leadership. So early days.
Yeah.
Talk me through, when did you first really think about the kind of business you were building, how you wanted people to feel, what like really tangible things did you do did you feel like you were already building something a bit different? Tell me about those really early, the birth of this, the birthplace of you, what then later on became this real passion that you have for kind of OD.
So I think if you kind of classify the early kind of startup phase, year 1, et cetera, that's fairly easy actually. Like that is a few people and a few more people coming together who ultimately spend all their time together.
Yep.
Like not just 9 to 5.
Yep.
Thursday night, Friday night, maybe Sunday afternoon, like a lot of time together.
Yep.
Half of those people have worked together previously.
Yep.
So there's already a kind of rapport there.
Yeah.
And so working inside of a business doesn't feel that difficult. You're actually more focused probably on how do we set up processes and structures to make sure that we're running a business and that we're like, sending out invoices and paying people on
Getting
time
paid.
and that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I think this journey really starts when we start to scale, because when you start to scale, you start to bring in people who don't have that rapport that you haven't worked with previously.
Got a shared history.
It's not as easy as just saying, well, we'll just hang out together and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You can't just all stand around the same room and the same table every week, maybe every day, and effectively have the same conversation. It's impossible.
Yeah.
And so now you're thinking about how do I set the North Star that is understood by everyone in a consistent way, that they can repeat and communicate to each other and to new people that come to the business.
Yep.
How do we know how we want to behave? How do we behave today? What are we how are we trying to evolve our behavior?
Yep.
Like and I'll say it, a startup behavior, heavily male dominated, very different to the business that we wanted to be.
Yep.
But we accepted the business that we were, but we're very clear on the business that we wanted to evolve towards.
Yeah.
And that came through things like setting our values, right?
Yeah.
Like we have to be able to articulate where we're going. And if we're scared to do that, then we'll never grow.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of work in that. We did a lot of work with our leadership teams on educating them on what high-performing teams means and looks like.
Yep.
So one of the early kind of studies that really appealed to me was the Google's Aristotle project.
Yep.
Because prior to that, I think my reference points for high-performing teams, sport, no-brainer, right? You kind of see it in sport.
Yeah.
A lot of like books and research and things in terms of high performance, but seeing a technology company like we're a marketing tech company, seeing it in a world that is familiar to us, I think was like, okay, this is really
something
interesting.
in this.
Really interesting. So we did a lot of work in that. And then we started to leverage some tools that allowed us to communicate better.
Yep.
Which we can dive into it in a second. But there were probably like a handful of things that I think if I think back, and I'm sure there's shitloads of others, but they're the ones that really stick out to me. Like these handful of things that were very powerful, very important, and were kind of bedrocks of the journey we're about to go on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm thinking about, and I'd never really thought about this until now. The business started in a really kind of privileged place when it comes to trust. Like you already had those.
With each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
You had those close bonds, connections. You were at the high stakes doing really exciting, challenging stuff, late nights, all of these things that feed into like really high organizational commitment, et cetera. So you actually already had a really firm foundation as the leader of that business to be able to try a few.
Yeah, I remember someone
things.
saying to me, actually Renee, who used to work for us, she said this to me and it always stuck with me. You remember the people that you work with when you're kind of in the trenches?
Yeah.
Because when you're in the trenches and you've got deadlines, you try and deliver a project, and you think about your entire career and you think back about all the moments.
Yeah.
It's always those really, really hard moments and the people that you kind of worked with, or, that stuck by you stuck by them and you work through it. And so that is startup.
Yeah.
That is literally a startup. You were in the trenches 24/7.
Yeah.
So yes, you build trust pretty quickly.
Yeah. Those high stakes, deeply kind of human, environments where you're kind of up against it and it's you something else.
Everyone else.
Yeah.
Everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the attitude.
So you said to get quite practical for a sec, you used different tools, you brought in different frameworks, there were different things that really stuck with you. So the HBDI, Amy Edmondson's psychological safety kind of framework and model as, part of all of the research that was emerging around Google's project Aristotle, how to have kind of direct, hard conversations. There was a framework around that you can talk about in a sec. Anything else that comes to mind in terms of those early days? Yep, like this idea of high-performing teams. And I remember our early conversations, you were leaning heavily on sport as this is the best thing I've got in terms of like the closest thing. What else from a very kind of practical perspective really stuck with you back then?
If I bucket these up though, right, if I think about them now, back into the 4 that we've been talking about.
Yep, the organisational assets.
The enabling and training our team or giving them insight into what high-performing teams in a corporate organisation is.
Yep.
It's very much about building their capability.
Yep.
Right? It was about, okay, let's level everyone up to a baseline understanding of the thing that we feel like is really important for us to build around.
Yep.
I think vision and values, vision probably hangs above everything.
Yep.
Yep. It's a kind of a
Umbrella.
overarching umbrella to everything we're doing. But values, I think, is really important for network and relationships. So by setting this common language on norms, behaviors, et cetera, I think was really important. And again, conscious that not everyone will get the opportunity to do this, but we co-created that with people in the business.
Yep.
It wasn't top down.
Yep.
We brought the leadership team. We brought the extended leadership team. Fast forward 5 or 6 years, maybe 5 years, 4 years, post-COVID, we recognize the business is evolving.
Yep.
We should review these values, make sure that we're really clear that we've got the right ones, that the behaviors are understood, we're clear on where this shows up, and so we can acknowledge and reward it. And we're open to that. I think a lot of businesses are afraid of
interrogating
the values. Like, is this us still, or is this
Well,
where we
I
want
think
to be?
a lot of businesses, there's just a piece of paper on the wall. It's just an artifact that doesn't actually mean anything.
Yeah, we made a commitment very early on that nothing was stuck. You'll never see our values on the wall.
Yeah.
It's only that
I
artwork.
snuck up one on the fridge once.
Did you?
You took it down.
Tore it down. Yeah, you should feel it. You should know it.
Yep.
That's kind of the view that we took.
Yeah.
And then things like the feedback tool that we use. So we use something from your ex-organisation, Steeple, in Bears, which was
Great
just
model.
a brilliant kind of simple feedback mechanism. Again, was all about enabling our people with capability.
Yep.
So if I think back now, a lot of it was very much about capability. The other thing we did do was structure. So we started to now develop a org structure because you bring in another 20, another 30, another 40 people.
Yeah.
Okay, now there's like managers and hierarchy and leaders and decision-making rights. And it goes from being, there's a bunch of co-founders and a group of people to, no, the co-founders, and this is a very conscious decision we make. The co-founders, for the most part, govern the business at a board level.
Yep.
Everyone's got a day job.
Yep.
And the day job has, there's an executive team and there's leadership structures and those founders are in that structure somewhere.
Yep.
So this took us years to really land.
Yeah.
Because, everyone thinks that all the founders will just make all the decisions.
Yeah.
And as founders, we're like, no.
Yeah.
That's not how this is going to work.
Yeah.
This business needs to be self-sustaining with its, executive, leadership, management structures.
Yeah.
But we started that really early on.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's probably a topic for another day, but I'm also curious to hear your advice or observations around, we talked at the start of this episode around adjustment periods and transitions and identity. When a business does grow from being absolute startup culture, doesn't need a lot of processes and systems, as it grows, goes through these different, teenage years, adult years. A lot of the organisations I work with now that are, have acquired another business or they're scaling and growing, you just keep hearing this rhetoric and this like embodied rhetoric. They're sad about it, that it's just not what it used to be. It's changed. I just want it to go back to the good old days. And that place cannot be returned to.
Nope.
So maybe this is another episode, is talking about how do we actually support the psychological, physical, all of the dimensions that have to change so that people do come on the journey as the business, grows.
Yeah, we should add this into our, latter phase of the journey because selling the organization, selling the business,
that's
integrating.
The ultimate, right?
Yeah, right. And there is a draw a line in the sand type of moment.
Yeah.
But we had that moment at other times of the business. Probably didn't feel as hard of a line. But we had to change the business. The business had to grow up and evolve and do things differently.
Yeah.
And some people jumped off the journey at that point, and that was totally fine. Like that was what they wanted to do, and we were heading in another direction. So it was a normal thing.
Yeah.
But thinking back through that, the HBDI framework, and we should probably spend 10 minutes or so talking through that, is by and large, I think, I don't know, one of the most critical assets that we leveraged, use. We're talking colours to this day.
Yeah.
So you can probably do a better job of describing what it is, and I'll tell you how we use it.
Do you remember what it stands for?
Herman Brain Something Institute.
Close. God, it was good. It was. You were on track. Herman Brain Dominance Instrument.
Instrument.
Yes.
There you go.
So very quick crash course on the HBDI.
People still refer to it as like HDMI.
Oh, yeah. HDMI,
HPTT,
cable. Yeah. HTPTI. Do you know how I give people the little trick to remember it?
Sure.
Happy birthday. HBD. Happy birthday.
What about the I bit?
Just remember it. That bit's easy.
Gotcha.
Everyone gets the I bit. It's the other letters that get all jumbled. Yeah. So the HBDI is a psychometric assessment. All psychometric assessments have to be taken with a grain of salt, and I'm always going to say this whenever we talk about these kind of tools. They rely on us using metaphors about how the human brain works and how we communicate. So there is no such thing as colours in our brain. There is no such thing as we can only do one thing and not something else. So the HBDI is a handy, fast, pretty cost-effective tool that you can use in organisations where you assess, based on a really simple survey, what are people's thinking preferences, not their behaviour, not their personality, it's not behavioural styles, it's none of that. How do they prefer to think? So it essentially looks at 4 different quadrants. Yellow thinkers, big picture, holistic, they can synthesise things, they can kind of see forward in the future, they like excitement, interesting things. Red thinkers is really around the relational aspects, so they can read the room, they can feel the room, they're focused on team dynamics, so a lot of those people-related aspects is sitting in the red preferences. The blue preferences, people that sit in that quadrant have a real preference for numbers, logic, thinking rationally, thinking in a evidence-based way. And green thinkers have a preference for thinking about the sequence that we're going to do things, the
detail.
order of things, the detail. Yes. So yellows, the why, red, the who, green, we'll go back to blue is the what, and green is the how.
Yeah. So I think, the few things that you said that really stuck out to me when this was introduced to us early on. One, it's not a behavioral assessment.
Yep.
This idea that actually everyone can do everything.
Yep.
We prefer to communicate and think in certain ways.
Yep.
But we're all capable of everything.
100%.
So that was a big tick for us.
Yep.
This wasn't like another psych assessment where we're going to bucket everyone.
Yep. And once you're there, you're stuck there
Yeah.
and you can't do anything
Because
else.
the reason we needed it was the thing I was trying to solve, if we go back to first year of the business or second year of the business, is we now have 20 new people, 30 new people, 40 new people all coming into the business rapidly, all expected to onboard relatively quickly. This is pre our very structured onboarding process, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know, our onboarding process is like meet a bunch of us, kind of get to work type of thing.
Yep. Have a laptop. Go.
Yeah. And meet your new teammates who you've never met before, you have no rapport with, and rock up to customers and be a team.
Yep.
Not just be our team, be the
great
best
team.
fucking team
Yep.
that anyone in this industry has ever seen in relation to the work that we do.
Yeah.
And that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So it's not that they can't do it, but how do we give people the tools and the ways of being able to communicate with each other to tackle some of the things that are going on?
Yeah.
So yes, some of that's feedback.
Yep.
But some of that actually is with, the way that I need that piece of information communicated is different to you.
Yep.
If we kind of knew that about each other, I'd walk through your door and you'd walk through mine and this would be great.
Yep.
So that's where this was really powerful.
Yep.
And to this day, people talk in colours.
Yep.
Hey, Mel, can you put your blue hat on?
Yep.
And you know what that means.
Yep.
And you know what to expect.
Yep.
And we can have this conversation.
Yep.
And we're shorthanding
Yes.
the stuff
Yep.
that is otherwise pretty hard to kind of communicate.
Yep.
And we're far more effective.
Yep. And this idea of it shortcutting and speeding up, that's at the heart of it. It's a heuristic. It's a way to speed up things, which in an environment like startup land, that's gold if we can speed things up. I think the power of the tool is absolutely that. It doesn't just categorize someone and you'll never change. Like people's preferences change over time as their roles change and their life changes. So it's
What's
very
yours?
dynamic.
What do you?
So when I very first did it years and years and years ago, I was a strong green red. So people focused, but also a get shit done type. I'm now I'm still got plenty of red as you'd expect, but I've got way more yellow. And that's just a function of the kind of work I'm doing, the nature of my roles. I can't be in the details much anymore. My job is to pull everything together and see the whole system, blah, blah, blah. But back in the day, I wasn't really doing much of that work. So I was in the get shit done, look at the detail, blah, blah, blah. So you could use kind of any framework and the HBDI could kind of be any colours and any whatever. The gold in it is that it becomes a common language. It becomes a shared understanding that I can rapidly go, why is this person kind of giving me this shit? Oh, they're coming at this from a blue perspective and I haven't satisfied my big yellow why yet. That's why I'm getting, I can take responsibility. That's why I'm getting frustrated. So I'm going to ask them to give me a bit of yellow and then I can come back to their blue. So it is a tool for understanding others, but I think the real value is also understanding yourself and taking responsibility for your own needs being met in the workplace.
Yeah, and I think there's a few other elements to the tool that have become quite useful. So one, we had every single person in the business do it.
Yep.
So it wasn't a leadership tool.
Yep.
It was every single person in the business.
Yep.
So you walk into the building, you go through onboarding, and
Yep.
you do the HPDI assessment.
Yep.
And they would do it with you. They get a debriefing on their results.
Yep.
They would understand the preferences of the team
Yep.
that they were about
their
to
people leader.
join, their people lead.
Yep.
And so now you're kind of arming people from the get-go
Yep.
as they walk in.
Yep.
The second one that I find quite interesting is what happens under pressure.
Yeah.
So these preferences change.
Yep. Can
And-
change.
Can change.
Yep.
True, can change.
Yours don't.
Mine don't, yes, which is a little weird. But knowing that, but I think people know that they change under pressure, but this gave common language
Visual.
to it.
Yeah.
It put it on a map, and they were able to go, yeah, that's exactly what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
And
And I think that's important because we're all got so many multiplicities about ourselves. Like we've got different days and different. So sometimes you might be working with someone and they seem a certain way and they're focusing on certain things, and then they show up under pressure and you can feel like, oh, this is a whole different person. No, you're just seeing a different kind of variation of who this person is. So I think the other really important thing is the tool gives us permission to be real, to be ourselves,
Yep.
to talk openly. So that's where tools like the HBDI can actually be high risk in an organisation. If there's not trust, if there's not psych safety, if there's not this sense of like it's okay to show us,
weaponized a little, you think?
it is 100% weaponized and it is dangerous. So you can imagine in an unsafe environment where someone sees someone's profile and then uses that to kind of say, well, that's why this person can't do this job, or that's why that's not working. So HBDI, the reason it worked well in our business for the most part was because we didn't just pin psych safety on the wall and say it's okay to be you and be authentic. We lived and breathed it, and we created an environment where all those profiles, it was safe. I think we only ever had one person in my whole time who preferred the profile not to be up on the intranet, to be able to kind of control the sharing of it themselves. But for everyone else, it was just like, yeah, of course I want to whack it up there. I want everyone to see and you know.
It was an interesting development tool too. So when people would have challenges or issues with an individual in the workplace, and you know, I'd have this conversation often. One of my first questions was, you know, do you know what their profile is? And they'd go, oh no, I haven't checked. It's like, well, let's start. That's a really good insight into maybe how you're communicating versus what they're expecting and vice versa.
Yeah.
So let's start there.
Yeah.
And then we use things like bears for kind of feedback. So yeah, just these tools that were so important to what we were building.
So I think what you've said then is it's a start is also really important, because a tool like the HBDI, if you've got a psychologically safe environment, people are willing to expose what's happening in their mind with others, it should be the starting point for a whole range of other discussions, like how introverted are they or how extroverted. Like, it doesn't try and capture everything about a person, but if you have created an environment where people feel safe to share those kind of profiles, talk about it, it is going to unlock the ability to talk about lots of other things as well.
And I think through phase 2 of the journey, we'll cover off the types of sessions that we used to hold, whether it was a lecturer or then you, with the business that was about vulnerability. It was about imposter syndrome. It was about these types of things that happen in workplaces that are often only spoken about kind of in a low frequency, right? Like there's one big workshop at one point of the year where everyone talks about something and then it's kind of done. Yeah. Whereas it was part and parcel of our BAU operating rhythm. Yeah. But we'll get into that in the next couple of episodes. So I think this, to close out the HBDI tool, to your point, it could be plenty of tools. Yeah. It just happened to work for us. Yep. I mean, we got to the point where we were also doing it with clients. Yeah. Right? So they would want to come on the journey because our teams were working so closely together with them that they would also do the assessments, understand their colours, that understand our colours. And now you've got, you know, so our system, which is also really connected with clients' systems, is now starting to bridge itself because we have common language on something beyond kind of the work and the tasks, right?
And for anyone listening to this who might just be like, that is my worst nightmare, having my colleagues, you know this stuff about me, I don't balk at that response at all because it just shows me the kind of environments a lot of people have had to kind of exist or work or grow up in. So I do think we were really lucky in so many ways, and to have your kind of leadership kind of setting the tone meant that we were able to kind of create that level of comfort. But it would not, and everyone's got different degrees of appetite for sharing parts of themselves at work. Some people, they want to keep that absolute clear separation. For others, they're happy to kind of bring that whole holistic self-to-work idea. But I think for people that hear some of what we've done over the years and think, jeepers, it just shows me that their context is just so far removed from what we were lucky enough to be able to kind of build over such a long time.
Which I think comes back to the very first episode and the discussion we had about the kind of essentials that are critical to make this stuff work.
Yeah.
Like, why were we doing those types of things?
Yep.
It wasn't to bucket people.
Yep.
It wasn't to go, well, okay, well, you can't work on this project because you've got this profile. No. It was to enable better communication for a growing, high-performing team and giving them a way to shortcut how they talk to each other, how they resolve conflict, how they potentially get over missing each other on certain points.
Yeah.
Like, this was huge. That's why we did this.
And we had to do it well. So one of the problems with opening the can of worms, entering into a deeper conversation or digging into someone's thinking preferences is you have to be able to then provide and have the resources, the container, the follow-up conversations. If you're going to open up these things, you need to be able to have ongoing, support around that. Yeah, so we need the people leaders who can hold those deep conversations. We needed my team to be able to be, accredited into the tool as well and be able to carry on that kind of work. So,
which goes back to, so we had an org dev consultancy when we did that originally.
Yep.
And then we recognized that we need an org dev function because this
in-house
is now part and parcel of our business.
Yep.
And it's got to be the way that we do anything else.
Yep.
Just the same way we do marketing automation or analytics or whatever it is in terms of innovation and craft.
Yep.
This is how we run our business.
And you just have to do it properly. This comes full circle back to what I think is so important about the vision and the kind of personality of the business was we're going to do it well, we're going to do it properly, we're going to focus on excellence. I think there is such risk in introducing some of these things in a half-baked kind of a way. This whole, it's all part of a system.
Yeah.
You want to get all the parts thinking about all of the consequences when you introduce something like this.
Hopefully a couple of tidbits in there from the early part of the journey.
Yeah.
We'll crack on with episode 3.
Yeah. So what are we going to cover in episode 3?
I don't know. We'll figure it out later. Experiment,
So it's roughly years like 3 to 4-ish?
2 to 4, somewhere in that, kind of basically pre-COVID, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Awesome. See you in the next step.
See ya.